Good. All right.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Comics de la Muerte, episode 48, Universal Monsters, with, of course, our returning guest, Gary Hodges.
Hello, hello. Have I always had the kind of prestigious middle slot here? I don't know if
it's usually
today is your day. It's National Gary Hodges Day.
Right?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Special day. All right.
Yeah, there you go. Congratulations.
But yeah, as always, I'm Ronnie Gunter, Crimson Owl Comics, Gary Hodges, Dinosaurs vs. Marsbots, Jason Alexander, Fogbreaker Studios. And of course, before we'll get into the episode, we're just going to see who's all in the chats. And it's Kamikaze. What's up?
What's up, Kamikaze? How's it going?
And before we get into like the episode, you guys go ahead and promote what you got going on.
Take it away, Jason.
All right. I'm here to promote minicomicbundles.com, but guys, I'm really like kind of giggly over Drifter. It came out really, really good, and I didn't realize like when you collaborate with somebody, you don't know how it's all going to look together. Like when you write something, or even as the artist, I imagine you don't know what it's going to look like as one piece. And this might be like one of my favorite writes. This is like one of the most. It looks great. The story is awesome. I just want you guys to pick it up. I'm not sharing my screen yet, am I? Or am I? Am I sharing my screen?
No, you're not.
Oh man, this is like
it would show down the bottom if you were.
Yeah, you're right, Ronnie. You're right. I thought I did. My bad, guys. Let's do this again. All right. Mini comic bundle share. All right, now y'all can see it. Drifter. This is part 2. This is in the book now. Y'all just heard me talk about it. I might show some more pictures out of it. I posted something on Instagram about it yesterday. Liaison is it's a pretty interesting sci-fi story. It's really starting to grow on me, especially knowing it's connected to The Briefing, which is the web comic that's coming out soon. And also we got Gilead City, which is basically a city of people that are mind controlled by the government, which is the ruling corporation, which is also the ruling religion of the world, where everybody lives forever until they need to be made an example out of. And this one kind of connects to this story of this guy here. His name is Xander, and he's under investigation for thinking thoughts that would sow a little bit of discord in the organization. So this is the final part of it. It's a pretty exciting story, and it's wrapping up here. So check out minicomicbundles.com. You can pick up the rest of the bundles, catch yourself up. But the books are really good. I got more stuff coming out on my Instagram. But I guess that's about it that I can say for now. But I got some more news on my wrestling comic coming up soon. I'm just kind of heavy in production with it right now, so I'm just kind of clamming up about it until I get something that's worth sharing for the next step. So stay tuned.
Awesome. Well, should I take it away? Is it my...
go ahead.
World, man. Go for it.
All I've got. So right now, if you're a follower of a fan of D versus M, Dinosaurs versus Marsbots, you'll know that my comics are all sold out right now. But I'm about to actually tonight, I'm going to be placing an order for the limited special extra nice, extra cool, extra exclusive,
Extra,
limited
extra.
edition. Did I say limited? Did I say special? Pulp edition of D
I
versus
love
M
it.
1997.
Get
Now,
'em.
I'm going to attempt to screen share here. Let's see. I've never tried this before.
It's easier. It's much easier than I make it look. Believe me.
Let's see here. Okay, we're gonna give me 1 second here. Share screen, and then we're gonna do that. Share. Let me know if that's working.
Yep,
All
it's
right.
coming up.
Yeah, there it is.
That is the exclusive, rare, coveted, desirable,
Beautiful.
sexy
Amazing.
Dinosaurs versus Marsbots 1997 cover. It's going to be very, very, very exclusive. I'm only going to do, there's only going to be 35 for sale.
Wow.
25 for sale individually, and 10 for sale paired with the limited edition pulp cover of 75. The last 10 of those I have. So you'll be able to either get them both at once, or if you just need this one, you already have the other one. There'll be 25 individuals, 10 as a pair, 25 individuals. I'm placing the order tonight, like I said. I'll be getting a physical proof to make sure everything looks cool, like all this kind of artificial distress on the cover looks right, is cropped right. Then I will, once that's all squared away and I feel good about it, order will be placed. So sometime this month, probably toward the end of this month, it'll be for sale. I'll give everybody a heads up and lots of warning. In the meantime,
nice birthday gift.
nice birthday gift, Halloween gift, Christmas gift. Get it early. It's going to sell out. It's probably going to sell out quick, and that's the intention.
Quick. Yep.
I believe in limited editions that are actually limited. I believe in, collectibles that are actually collectible. So this one, I'm doing a very low run.
Good job.
In the meantime, I'm also getting ready. I was just telling Ronnie off air to start thumbnails on the next installment of D vs. M, the third one, D vs. M 1979. This Saturday, I'm going to be going to the library, as is my tradition. I'm with my script, which I've signed off on, and I'm going to start just figuring out what are my panels, how many panels do I have, and then once I have those panels, figure out how they're laid out on pages. Then I'll know how many pages, then I'll know what my work is ahead of me, and then I'll know how long it's going to take me and when it'll be done and when you'll be able to buy D vs. M 1979. So that's what's going on with me right now. If you
maybe October 2021, maybe.
Probably. See, this is the question. When I thumbnail, I'll finally be able to get a beat on how long the next comic is. Like how many pages is it? I do a page a week. That's my rate. So if it's 50 pages, it'll take me 50 weeks. If it's 35 pages, 35 weeks, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. I am hoping and crossing my fingers it's a shorter comic, but I really have no sense of it. And every time I guess, I'm wrong. So we'll find out.
Wait and see. Yep.
But I'm pretty confident it will be sometime next year. You'll be able to buy, because I'm going to start drawing it this year, like late this year. I can't imagine it's going to be so long that it's going to roll into 2023. That's insane. Probably will be like maybe this time next year. That's my guess right now, but don't know that.
Right.
So if you want to get updates on that, you want to follow me, you want to know when the pulp edition is going to go for sale so you can get in on it. Follow me on my Instagram. It's dinosaursvsmarsbots.com, or not .com, just dinosaursvsmarsbots. Or you can follow me on YouTube, where it's just my name, Gary Hodges. So
you got a lot of cool artwork too on your website.
Oh yeah,
well, thank you. Sure.
Yeah.
So let's say here. There we go. First sharing screen. That's exciting. Oh my God, Jason.
Oh man.
All right.
Well, it's on you now, Ronnie. What you got, man?
All right. Now, for people, I am behind on episode 3, but it is in the works. You guys, if you haven't read it and you're new to the channel, go review the first 2 episodes of A Vengeful Heart. It is my horror comic that I've been working on monthly and trying to get out to you guys. And also, with my link tree, you guys don't have to donate to it, but it is September 2nd, and the whole month of September actually is, let me see if I could get a better view. It is Dystonia Awareness Month.
Ah.
So, if you guys want to go read my comic about what dystonia is, it's a movement disorder. And, there's a link there too where you could donate to try to help find a cure and everything. It's very important to me. It affects me in different ways. It affects people in different ways, and just be appreciated if you guys could spread the awareness for this whole month.
That's awesome. Okay. That's good to know, Ronnie.
Excellent.
And let's see.
Did you say where? Okay, there we go. Tapas.
Yeah.
There we go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. And Tapas, Eventual Heart. All right. Now let's get back to that. All right. So, Universal Monsters. And it's actually kind of fitting. I mean, unlike Jason, me and Gary's screen, we both have skeletons in the back. Thought that was
Yeah. Yeah. It worked out.
Yeah.
What a good classic horror topic.
Exactly. I mean, I'm surprised we haven't talked about it before.
Mm-hmm.
We've definitely talked around Universal Monsters. We just haven't spent our time devoted to it. But it's something that does come up often.
And like even I told Gary before what I told Gary before the show and messaged Jason, these characters could definitely use a lot of justice, where you could probably make a 2-episode out of this. So,
for sure. Yeah.
At least. Because we tried to come up with a count before we went live and came up with 9 different major classic.
For sure.
That you would definitely want to talk about, know.
Yeah.
So and that's what's off the top of our head. I don't know if we're forgetting one. But
right.
That's
so let's start with, since we've been reviewing American vampires, let's start with one of the most classic OG vampires of all, Dracula.
Yeah, Dracula is pretty much like the devil of Hollywood. It's it really doesn't that's the ultimate evil of Hollywood, is behind the scenes there's a vampire. So
yeah, because before him you had Nosferatu, which was great, and then Dracula came around, and they had him decked out in his whole outfit and everything. I mean, he was the first vampire with swag,
Yeah.
Dracula
kind of reinvented him, because Nosferatu, if my recollection is correct, was basically I think. Oh my God, I think is it Monroe? Who was the director of Nosferatu, the German director? I think it's Monroe or something like that. Anyway, I'm blank. I can't believe I'm blanking on it. But anyway, I think he wanted to do Dracula.
I can't believe I'm in a conversation about the other creator, because
he
got me.
He wanted to do Dracula and couldn't get the rights, so he did basically Chinese ripoff Dracula, the imported, right. Dracula you'd buy on a tape in Tijuana or something. This sort of no, this isn't Dracula. No. Almost exactly the same characters, exactly same premise. Murnau. Yeah, it was the name that I was it's something like that. Okay.
Hello, Chase.
Thank you.
Chase, what's up?
And I adore Nosferatu, and I adore the remake of it that Werner Herzog did. And I'm very excited about the fact that the director, I'm blanking on this guy's name too, but the one who did The Lighthouse, he's finally, he's had a dream project forever of doing Nosferatu. And he's going to do the guy who did the guy who did The Lighthouse is now going to do Nosferatu, which sounds perfect.
I think that sounds good. Yeah.
Good. But the vampire himself wasn't very Count Dracula-ish. The Nosferatu vampire wasn't. Bela Lugosi's was certainly closer. Still pretty different from the book, but that I think introduced this idea of this vampire nobility, this strange European nobleman, who actually is a vampire. It kind of maybe put it back on track. But what's funny to me is, especially as a kid, I mean, the impact that had on your conception of a vampire, especially if you're over a certain age, where he's got a tux and a medal.
Right, yeah. Like
and
I
like
said,
a
swag.
cape, even just a cape is like, that's pure Lugosi. That's nowhere else, like, and like the big, the cape with the big collar or whatever you'd call it. Yeah. The widow's peak, like
and
all
also,
that.
Yeah.
Also, give props to Bela Lugosi and all those like other monster artists who pretty much used a small kit of makeup to make these monsters be terrifying, and make it stand out to this day. People look at them and know who it is, no matter what age you are.
And did Lugosi do his own makeup, or was that just Lon Chaney Jr.?
You know what? It could have been Lon Chaney. It could have been Lon Chaney, but
Lon
still,
Chaney might have done all his own makeup. Yeah.
But still, even if he didn't do his own makeup, just like it was simple makeup to the point where it was still menacing and terrifying.
Yeah, it was very. Yeah, it totally. That was the thing about these Universal monsters. I think is it almost like calcified our mental picture of what all these monsters look like.
Yeah,
Frankenstein,
sure.
not just skip ahead, but Frankenstein is always green with this weird squarish head,
and the bolt through
his neck. Like, and that's always like when you say Frankenstein, like you always picture like monster in a sport coat. Yeah. And and it's not like that is purely the Universal version, but it was just it overwhelmed our pop culture thought about him.
And with Dracula, you had like Nosferatu, but Dracula as well. He's pretty much one of the vampires that brought in the originality that, hey, they could transform into like a bat or into like a wolf or like even into mist, and just that whole lore and transformation.
Yeah.
Right. And had mind control powers. Like, could be anybody. Like, and it could be like somebody that you wouldn't see as scary, which kind of intensified it because it was the first effort towards that as a supernatural being,
Yeah.
And I would, and it's a little funny to say now if you go back and watch Dracula because it's dated in this particular way, but it also was, I would argue, the first sexy monster.
Yeah.
A debonair monster, a monster who's going to take your girlfriend, which that also would not, it's sort of in the book, but not really, I mean, they really were like, no, we want him to be like dashing and charming.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
And that wasn't really an aspect of the novel. So, that the novel I remember more was doing like it was a very anti-immigrant kind of, it was about like someone from a farther shore coming over and spreading their weird disease and corruption in
changing
London.
Everything.
Yeah. So it was very much to me like this kind of strange allegory about like
interesting
foreigners are going to show up and like eat your girlfriend and be on a ship full of rats. I mean, it's this kind of like, watch out for the dirty Eastern Europeans.
Right. Yeah, I could see understanding that. Like, I can see watching that and understanding that for sure.
Yeah, I mean, definitely with the 90s Bram Stoker's Dracula, you definitely had that sexuality and that stuff in there. And
that's fascinating because again, like, so you have the book, you have Bela Lugosi Dracula, which is dashing, suave, sophisticated, kind of this mysterious European nobleman type. Yeah. And so then when they decide to make quote unquote Bram Stoker's Dracula, it really is kind of doubling down on Bela Lugosi Dracula, where it's let's make him even hotter. Let's make him even more charming. Like, let's make him even more like romantic and tragic. And
look at what
he was a pimp where he come from. I mean, he wanted the girl, even though he had 3 other women at his castle.
Yeah, because he was just deeply in love with this like soulmate, reincarnated soulmate. Yeah. But exactly. I mean, who wouldn't make a deal with the devil for Winona Ryder? I mean, come on.
Right? Especially now.
You're a 90s kid. It feels like a fair trade. Like, all right. Yeah.
Yeah, let me at least listen to what you.
Yeah,
Let's just hear what you gotta say.
I'll hear you out. Yeah, you know.
While
Keep
Keanu,
talking.
while Keanu, he was being loved on by the 3 vampire women.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, and that one of them was like Monica Bellucci, I think, in one of her earliest roles. That's a great movie. Now, a weak point is Keanu Reeves.
Yeah.
Like I get angry every time I watch it because he's not even attempting an accent, like, or he is, but like I would, which is poorly at best, and totally, it's just so bad. Everyone else is killing it. Gary Oldman is murdering every scene he's in, and even Winona Ryder's doing a decent job. Like I wouldn't have thought of her like in that part, but she's doing a good job. Anthony Hopkins is in there. Like, it's good stuff. And then you have Keanu Reeves going in there attempting.
Wow, got quite the cast.
Oh.
And speaking for like side characters, like it was great that you had the chemistry in the book and in the movie with Van Helsing. Like when you think of Dracula, Van Helsing is one of those like characters that also pops in. Like it's really probably one of the greatest like heroes, or like Dracula is the main character, and then you have his rival. And yeah, it's just a great rivalry that throughout like different movies, you saw how like people wanted to take those 2 relationships and evolve them and make them like very important. Like you can't have yin without the yang.
Yeah, and I think you need it for the audience because you need somebody here who has some sense of what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
Like everyone else is behind the 8 ball. Like everyone's like that. No one is really understanding what is happening. So you need someone to walk in and say, "Let me give you the scoop on Dracula."
I mean, there's so many ways that people want to depict Dracula, especially like in Dracula 2000, where it's like, oh, we're gonna make Dracula Judas from the Bible,
Yeah.
And then you had that funny movie, Dracula Dead and Loving It. Which
is pretty fun. Yeah,
it's a pretty fun movie.
Yeah.
But,
and again, just to show like how pervasive it was. I remember there was an age when
What's up, Frank? How's it going, man?
That's not really Frank. Frank, actually, are you guys aware of the Frank conspiracy theory that started a few days ago? It reads that. So it was the Indie Review show over on. I don't remember if it was Josh's or Corey's night, but it was over there. Normally, Frank is a fixture in the chat, and he was just not there the whole evening. And so we started like, "Where's Frank? What's going on with Frank?" And then Anna was like, "Oh, well, I'll go get him." So Anna, and then suddenly Frank appeared, and that quickly spiraled into Frank is actually dead, and Anna is posing as Frank. Yeah, somehow the computer. Yeah. So don't be fooled by this doppelganger imposter.
It's like a catfish type situation.
Yeah.
So you're saying that Masked Woman became the ultimate Masked Woman by wearing Frank's
she's flexing her powers now.
That's pretty robust. I'll rock with that.
Yeah. So just don't believe anything this person is lying about down there.
Frankie Gate. Hashtag Frank Gate.
Frank Gate. But I remember there was an age. Tell me if this was the same with you guys. If you're young enough, vampires were Draculas. Like there weren't
100%.
It was just like you see a vampire in a movie and it's like, oh, it's a Dracula.
Like Lost Boys was teenage Draculas.
Yeah, it was all
100%.
I fucking love Lost Boys.
Lost Boys is great.
I'm one of those people that I watch Lost Boys every Halloween, every like the month of Halloween, and I've seen that movie so many times that if I watch the movie, I could literally like tell you everything they're gonna say.
Yeah.
Great movie, great soundtrack, amazing.
So
anytime
80s,
I'm flipping
80s in like a really fun way, like like everyone has like perms,
it's
like blown out hair.
It's a 6th grade Trapper Keeper.
It really is.
You know what I mean? It's like you venture out of like the cutesy characters, and it's like now you got the Lamborghini and like the Thunderstorm Trapper Keeper. Like that's
Lost Boy vampires. None of that like Twilight vampires. Sorry for anybody that likes that stuff.
Look, I'll try to tie it back to Dracula. The vampires in that, I think, are closer to the Bram Stoker Dracula. They're kind of gross. They're kind of dirty. They're living in caves, hanging upside down. Yeah.
Except for like the charming actual lead vampire that was behind the scenes. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I believe if they didn't have Dracula out in, like, if they never made Dracula at all and they just had the books and none of the movies, I think it wouldn't impact people to make different types of like inspiring vampires. Because I mean, look at the Vampire Chronicles, Interview with the Vampire. All those books are very good and very detailed. And if it wasn't for like Dracula, she probably wouldn't have been inspired to make her own lore and everything like that. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. The vampire is sort of a. Yeah, while there are people who basically are remaking the Bela Lugosi thing over and over, there are also a lot of people like the comics you've been reading, like Anne Rice, like all these other things that it's a great kind of playground where it's like they'll take the basic principles, but then they can do whatever they want. Like if they feel they're not shackled by the mental picture of Bela Lugosi, you have a lot of options. You know, you can do some cool things. But
you know. Like with the way the death with the stake through the heart, and like I said, with all the different powers and stuff like that, really set tones to why people love vampires as much and why people always go back to Dracula being like the big inspiration that started it all. Even though Bela Lugosi's, Nosferatu was like came first, I believe, but it still didn't impact.
I think it was earlier. Yeah, but and closer to the book, but still deviate. You know, they all deviate. Like you have to deviate. But the book is actually, I found it to be sort of it's interesting, and it's interesting just for its sort of historical significance. But I found it not a great read. Like if you've never read it, if you're out there watching it kind of reads like journal entries and letters. Like it's almost like after the fact, like they just compiled all the accounts of this thing that happened and put them in chronological order from different sources. And it's not how you would understand a modern novel. Like it reads strangely. It also does a lot of like phonetic spelling. So like, for example, if they're talking to like some Cockney guy down by the docks, and he's saying like, you know, he's talking about taking something, they would spell it like Tyke, tyke, you know, like, and it was so like you would read, so you're reading it and it's like, what am I looking at? Did I just have a stroke? But then you like, if you read it out loud, it sounds right, you know, like, which, so that's kind of it's interesting, but it's a little weird, you know?
Yeah. Right. And I never needed that much lore. Behind, I just didn't. I mean, I'm sure it's all great, but it's like beyond Dracula, like, they're gangly and like they get kind of weird, and I get that, but I don't need any of it.
Yeah, no, Chase, 100%.
Yep.
Yeah.
The Hammer has one of them, I would say, the most accurate motion picture version of Dracula there is now, and it's a Christopher Lee one. That doesn't help you narrow down because he did Dracula like 7 times or something insane. But there was one version, you can tell if you're just Googling, it's one where he has like a mustache, as in the book. Dracula had like this kind of, you know, big kind of, you know, Eastern European mustache. And that one is probably, of all of them, I would argue the most loyal to the book. Not that doesn't make it better or worse, but if you're looking for like what it would be like the closest to the book, if I don't want to read the book, seek out that version. But
and of course we won't get too far into this movie, but a great example of an 80s movie that represented the Universal's monsters, and I know if Scott Serkland was here, he would agree, the Monster Squad.
Monster Squad.
You know, classic.
Which is, again, classic Bela Lugosi Dracula. Like
exactly.
That's the version we're going with. Like right down to the metal on the red silk, you know, like it's his costume. Oh, Klaus. Oh, well, that's interesting. That could be. Klaus Kinski also played Nosferatu in Werner Herzog's remake of Nosferatu. Like he played the vampire, and he was great at it. Really intimidating and creepy, like very strange. But he was, I mean, it helped because he was kind of an intimidating, creepy guy in life. So there's all these legendary stories about him and Werner Herzog almost coming to blows because Kinski was just
too intense.
Yeah, he was just like a nut. Yeah, right.
Yeah. And also too with Dracula, he was the one that pretty much I'm pretty sure he's the one that started all where like if you have to welcome me in so I can't come into your house. I mean,
well, that was an old vampire. Like that was one of the traditional vampire things they pulled in. Yeah. And they love that one. They did that on Lost Boys.
Oh, not just Lost Boys, but another great movie, Fright Night.
Yes. Yeah, having to be invited in.
Yeah.
I was always curious about that. And I remember I asked, shows how cool I was in college. I asked an anthropology professor, like if they had any guesses why that's a thing with vampires. They need to be invited in. Like why? And her speculation was that because I'm going to give like the simple Cliff Notes versions, because a vampire is a magical creature.
Yeah.
It obeys the laws of basically like magical spiritual parameters. And there is something about what we call the home that is sort of in a way like a magical concept. It's sort of it's an abstract concept that the concept of home pulls from the same area that maybe like a vampire exists, a fairy exists, magic happens. So the vampire is a slave to that world, not the physical. So if you've designated this as my space, the vampire has to observe that because he's the kind of magical creature that has to observe those sort of rules. That was it's not like a politeness thing. It's like, oh, this is a home that's
just the way it works.
Well, also too, like in Lost Boys, if you remember that when they tried to use holy water and everything on him, it didn't work because everything that they did rendered powerless because they welcomed him in.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right. And they always like to do that too. They like to play with what rules work and don't. You know
exactly.
American Werewolf in London did that too, where I think like David was trying to figure out like how to commit suicide, and he's like, "Do I need silver bullets or something?" And the person he was talking to was like, "Oh, come on, get serious." Like this kind of where like some things are real, like you'll turn into a werewolf in the full moon, but like silver bullets, come on. They do that with Dracula a lot too. Like you need to be invited in, but like or like, oh, I love looking at crosses, but I remember the vampires in Interview with the Vampire. That comes up where it's like our crucifix is a problem. He's like, not at all, And I think garlic was fine and all that, but sun was bad. So they like pick and choose, like what?
Right. Yeah. No, I can see why sun would be like they're like anti-humans. So I can see why sun would like be like the staple thing. Because they all have kind of staple things, right? Like there's always that one thing that's like a surefire kill for any of these.
That's probably except for the sparkle vampires. I was gonna say like every vampire is usually like that I can think of. Sun is bad, but except for the Twilight.
That's a good one.
That's a great movie. Shadow the Vampire with Willem Dafoe and John.
I haven't seen many of these movies.
Another good vampire movie, and it is killing me because I can't remember it. The one with Bill Paxton.
Oh, I know exactly which one. It is really good, and it's hard to find.
It'll come to me.
It'll come to me too. Another one I like. I kind of like John Carpenter's Vampires.
Oh yeah,
it's. I mean, there's aspects of it that are pretty dumb, but
you're dark.
But it has some good horror moments and some really over the top gore, and the main vampire is really creepy and intimidating. Yeah, and it's
Near Dark is the movie.
Near Dark, yeah. Who else was in that? It was Paxton and Lance Hendrickson, maybe.
Yes, and there was just a bunch of other characters.
Yeah, that was a good one. Yeah.
Yeah. But with the what was I gonna say?
Fright Night was great.
Yeah.
The original. I liked it's among the silly ones like Dead and Loving It. One Spittin' I thought was kind of fun.
Yeah, One Spittin'.
With Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey, right?
Yeah, that was a good one.
And what was the one?
Well, I'm gonna say it too. Blacklia was actually a really good movie.
I haven't seen that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a solid vampire movie. I watched that once or twice as a kid. That was a solid vampire movie. It didn't feel so cheesy like a lot of like the blaxploitation stuff. Mm-hmm. It was like a straight up horror movie where Dracula was just black.
I'm Googling because it's going to drive me crazy if I don't find the one I'm thinking of. Oh, well, there's What We Do in the Shadows, of course.
But yeah, with Dracula, like I said, that's why people love vampires so much. Just because Dracula made vampires, like we say, to be sexy. When you go looking for Halloween costumes, all you have now is like Victorian sexy female vampire, male sexy vampire. I mean, who as a kid never wanted to be a vampire because of
the vampire is the cool thing to be. Yeah. The one I was thinking of, another one, it's corny, but it's fun. It's like kind of light fun. And I remember it I haven't watched it in years, so maybe it doesn't hold up. But I remember enjoying it when I last saw it, was Love at First Bite. It's a 1979 movie. George Hamilton was I think he might be Dracula himself, or if not, he's clearly playing, again, another Bela Lugosi type. But this vampire is trying to steal this guy's girlfriend, and the guy is on to him. The girlfriend doesn't realize it's Dracula.
That's great.
The boyfriend does, which, I mean, it's, and he keeps attempting to get, but I remember he ambushes them in a restaurant at one point and has a gun loaded with silver bullets and fires like 3 of them right into Dracula's chest, like bang, 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 right in front of his girlfriend. And she faints, so she thinks the whole thing, she imagined it or whatever. And the guy doesn't drop dead. And Dracula is like, silver bullets are for werewolves. And he's like, oh, like frustrated just before everybody tackles him and like he's a maniac and wrestles him. But it was fun.
That's too funny. Oh man, I haven't even heard of that movie before.
Yeah,
that sounds awesome.
If you want to go down the weird,
so
I want to see every vampire movie. Love at First Bite is a pretty good one.
Yeah. So with that, do you guys think we should move on to the next one? We spent about almost 40 minutes talking about Dracula and vampires.
Yeah.
All right. So we want to talk about Frankenstein or Wolfman?
I'm up for either one.
I'm up for either one, yeah.
Yeah, it's your pick,
right.
Ronnie. We can go to one and then the other. We'll hit them quick.
Let's go with the Wolfman.
Okay.
Because with the Wolfman, people have debates like, what is the better version, Wolfman or werewolf? Because like the werewolf has more of the transformation, more looking like it, while the Wolfman is just basically a hairy guy that forgot to shave. But
I think in terms of design, I guess.
Yeah, design.
I think that the werewolf is the evolution of the Wolfman, and I don't know that we've seen the best Wolfman yet. I don't think we've seen the best werewolf yet.
Have you seen the one with Anthony Hopkins though? That was a good Wolfman movie.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're good, but there's another level, and I'm not saying I have that because I don't.
Yeah,
but I just do feel like that it's something that nobody's tackled the best. Like really I feel like Walking Dead is like it nails zombies, and the TV show like did it visually even better. Like Dracula has been nailed so many times, and so many different vampire stories been told. There's been a lot of werewolf stories, but I don't think that there's the definitive. We don't have a definitive werewolf or Wolfman yet, in my mind.
Not like we do like a Bela Lugosi Dracula.
Right.
We don't have like that kind of iconic. That's true. I mean, but I would say so. I'm going to try and control myself because I have to say,
let it
like,
loose, man.
the werewolf, the wolfman, the lycanthrope, whatever, that's always been my top. Like, of all the monsters, that's always been my favorite. So I'm gonna try and rein in my like musing.
That's why he's growing his hair out. He's trying to
look like
the
right.
Wolfman.
I'm working on it. But I think while we don't have the truly classic, perfect, iconic werewolf movie yet, we have two very strong contenders with.
All right, what you got?
And even though these are not the Universal version, if we're talking about the Universal monsters, I thought the Wolfman is good. Like, it's fine. Like, I enjoyed it a lot as a kid, and I enjoyed the remake with Benicio del Toro. Like, that was fun. But when it comes to werewolf movies, I gotta go with either American Werewolf in London or The Howling. Like, one of those two.
Oh my God.
Like, those are strong. Not necessarily iconic, not on that level of Bela Lugosi,
right?
But very good.
But that's the thing. That's why people are like, the biggest like fights way before, Superman versus Batman. Vampires versus werewolves. Vampires are sexy, but werewolves are terrifying. I mean, when vampire like transforms, they just grow teeth, and sometimes their ears will get pointy depending on what type of version you want to go with. But a werewolf, their transformation is fucking horrifying. You don't have to do
it like that, Ronnie.
Yeah, I missed it. What did he do? I was reading the comments.
No, I was listening to Ronnie talk about how all Wolfman's ears sometimes gets pointy and his teeth get sharp.
I'm talking about vampires. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then
there's not that big of a transformation, but with the Wolfman and with the werewolf transformations, you could look at the transformation and it's like not just scary, but you could tell it's fucking painful for them.
Right. Okay, so here's my hot take, and I mean no disrespect, because I like everything about the look and the actions of werewolves better, but in real life, like, if both powers are maxed out to their maximum, just like Superman and Batman, there's really not really any competition for a like maxed out conscienceless vampire, just like there would be no competition for a maxed out conscienceless Superman. Like, a werewolf would really stand no chance against a vampire. Like, there's mind control.
I would, I think the only edge, if you were a werewolf and you knew on Friday you got to fight Dracula, the thing you'd have going for you is during the day, find him and drive a stake through his heart when he's asleep. That's the only
That's
thing.
it. That's your shot. What's going on?
You're actually going to be like werewolf and vampire in a room together. Yeah, that's probably going to be bad for the werewolf.
100%.
Yeah.
But no, there's always stories to tell, but no, like, there's really no competition, especially for back then, between Wolfman and Dracula. Like, they were movies that came out after each other, but that was not a fight that Wolfman would have wanted. Wolfman could have kind of existed
here.
Hulk is very werewolfy, and that's why I think as a kid I loved werewolves and I loved the Hulk, because it was the same thing. And I think while Bela Lugosi kind of created this idea, we shouldn't credit Bela Lugosi, whoever wrote the Dracula script, for Universal Dracula. Well, they created the idea of the kind of suave romantic vampire that stuck. I think the Lon Chaney Jr. Wolfman movie created the notion of the werewolf as sort of a tragic figure. It as a curse. Like, it was only
like how Chase said, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde.
And that's what I loved about the Hulk, and why. And this isn't a real criticism; it's a personal turn off. Is I don't love the idea of Gray Hulk and all that shit, because I liked the idea of Banner sort of being haunted by the fact that he's I liked the kind of the Bill Bixby version of the Hulk.
Yeah,
Where he's
exactly.
this cursed wandering man, and it's all about just trying to keep a lid on it. Just trying not to. Yeah.
Every werewolf story and Hulk story, like one of the pivotal transformations has always been to somebody that they're close to.
Right.
And it all started with the eyes, the same way that Hulk's did. Was like, as silly as it sounds, the same way Teen Wolf did. It always started with the eyes. Teen Wolf 2 was one of my favorite werewolf movies. It's super maximum cheesy, but it's like it's 80s. It's 80s all the way. Like Teen Wolf 1.
But it was a great transformation.
But Teen Wolf 2, man, there was just something about it. Yeah, man, I thought it was awesome. But remember, I'm so
baffled. I remember I've only seen it once. Maybe I need to watch it again, but I watched it for the first time about 10 years ago. And I watched it. I was like, well, if I ever wanted to know what a movie written by cocaine looks like I think that I just saw it. I just watched it. I could not believe how weird and stupid and ridiculous. I mean, but maybe I didn't give it enough.
Oh man,
maybe
I was a little bit sheltered. Like, don't forget.
Okay,
but it was just one of those things. Like, you grow up on it. And it's like it's always good to you. Like, I love that movie. I don't know why, but it's a blast.
The only werewolf movie that has teen in the title that I'm a fan of is I Was a Teenage Werewolf. Starring Michael Landon, which actually I thought was legit. And that kind of, I think Thriller might have referenced that a little bit.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, werewolf and
Michael Jackson even said that that was
we'll get to that,
a big inspiration to that.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's a bummer. Like the Benicio del Toro remake was good.
Mm-hmm.
I understand it's another one of those movies, kind of like The Thing prequel, where the original plan was different and it was all practical. Mm-hmm. And then the studio started meddling, and we need to CG.
Wanted special effects,
and we need more of Emily Blunt.
It's too bad.
And horse shit that's like not helping.
It is because
some guy in a suit somewhere was like, "This will help us. We need to do this," and it's kind of a lesser movie, but like Del Toro is great casting. I mean, like that. Like just when you saw him, it's like they don't even need to put makeup on him. Like just make him.
Oh yeah, he's very Dracula-like.
Snarl and growl at people, and I'll buy it. Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Frank, first of all, not Frank. First of all, Imposter Frank, you're not going to stop me from picking it. Michael J. Fox as a werewolf playing basketball. Come on.
Yeah, but then Teen Wolf 2 was Jason Bateman.
I know.
Boxing.
Yeah.
And in a college full of werewolves.
Yeah.
With tails.
I'm telling you. If cocaine was a movie, if Hollywood cocaine was a movie, it would be Teen Wolf 2.
But see, what people didn't know, that Rick Baker, if people don't know who Rick Baker is, he is actually the special effects artist who made American Werewolf in London, and he actually did the Wolfman remake.
Oh, cool.
Yes.
So,
and American Werewolf in London, the effects in that, I think for the most part, still really hold up. They look really cool. Like, and that transformation is kind of the definitive, like that first time he transforms.
Oh my gosh.
It's so good. Like it's really, and I love the ballsiness of saying, we're going to do a full transformation in full light. You know, like and we're gonna watch it happen. It's not gonna be the weird, and and it's a modern. I mean, it's the 80s, a modern movie, so they can't do the thing like in Universal where it's like we're gonna just cut between images. We're gonna fade in images. Suddenly, there he is with the little hair. There he is with a lot of hair. There he is as the Wolfman. That was basically it. It was never, and it happened like that in the Universal movie. Like they'd play eerie music, and he would basically change. And walk off. It wasn't like this, because I think they had to match the shots. They couldn't have that kind of writhing, painful transformation. He just kind of sat down and like was very still and changed and got up and went and ate people.
Mm-hmm.
Where like American Werewolf in London, he's flipping around on the ground, he's trying to get
It
up.
looks like it hurts. Yeah.
But with werewolves being weakness to silver, one of these days I'm telling myself, I gotta get the Wolfman cane. That'd be just badass to walk around with.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, actually now I'm disappointed you don't have.
Right? It's on my wish list.
Yeah.
Just gotta find the replica that's close to it.
So of the two, maybe it's too early to do this. Of the two Universal classics so far, like the movies themselves, Dracula or Wolfman, which do you prefer? Those, if you had to rewatch one of those movies right now, which would you rather rewatch?
Wolfman.
Yeah.
Yeah. If Wolfman was real, like, you know what I mean? Like, Wolfman could have happened behind your house, but like Dracula was like this. It was world changing. It was like Dracula's implications were like world domination. Wolfman was just like, who could I get?
Wolfman is kind of gritty. It's more like like there's something like you can picture it, sort of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Where a vampire is pretty far out there. Like that's
I mean, growing up in the South, like everybody has those types of stories. So there's just more.
The Southwest, like you hear the Chupacabra stories and something like a werewolf thing is only a hop, skip, and a jump from that.
100%. Yeah.
Well, because like you have like the Native Americans and they're like skinwalkers and stuff like that. So
Mm-hmm. When Wendigos, right? Or Wendigos.
That's another name for them.
Yeah. So we're at
Silver Bullet. Thank you, Imposter Frank.
Oh my gosh,
Silver
Bullet. Very good movie.
Not my favorite werewolf design, but a great movie.
Good movie, but that design was horrible.
Yeah, the design's pretty cheap. It looks like a guy in a bear suit who's selling. I don't know. Like he looks like he should be maybe in like the Chuck E. Cheese band, but like he.
I was gonna say Showbiz Pizza. That just shows me how back that was.
That's old school
right there.
But
real.
The transformation isn't bad, which is weird.
Especially in the church.
Yeah, in the church and in the garage.
Mm-hmm. But the vampire, the werewolf can look like anything if the transformation is good. Yeah. Because that's where you grip people.
Well,
that's the great thing. A werewolf doesn't have to be invited into the house. They could just barge in.
No. And what was cool about that one is like that guy, they played with like the curse aspect and the tragedy of it. But they also did a thing where like he knew this about himself. So he would put himself in situations where when it was a full moon, he could like take out people he wanted to take out. Like he was kind of using it a little bit. But I really like, first of all, Stephen King's fingerprints all over it. And it has that kind of quality and feel to it where it's fun. But it's just a really fun, neat movie. Like I Gary Busey, before he was absolutely insane, where he's like kind of fun to watch. He did a really good job as sort of the fun.
Same with Lethal Weapon. Like, there was a good intensity then, but then it's kind of unraveled.
I think the kid was that Corey Haim, I think.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was. I love that movie. The only thing I don't like is the design of the monster. But if you're hesitating, you don't even really get a clear look at it until the very end of the movie. It's not like it's constantly reminding you like, oh, that looks stupid. Like it's kind of the last 5 minutes, right. It's not.
You're into it by the end.
I'm a big fan. It's up there for me. It's right up there, kind of in that Howling and American Werewolf tier almost. It's close. It's a good werewolf movie.
For sure. All right, so now... Oh, you guys see your echo?
Yeah, I do hear a little bit of echo. Who is it?
I don't know.
Am I echoing?
I hear myself. No, I don't. Okay.
I don't hear it now. It's gone now. Okay, good.
Interesting.
So, like I said, we're gonna try to do this in like 2 parts because there's a lot of them, or maybe we'll do it in 3 parts because there is a lot of Universal monsters. Like Gary said, before we went live, most people don't think of the Phantom of the Opera or the Hunchback of Notre Dame when those were like Universal monsters, because now they just think of like the Disney cartoon and the musical for Phantom of the Opera.
Yeah, but you know, it's messed up that the Hunchback is in there strictly because of looks. There was nothing else. That's messed up too.
Mhm.
And that one is messed up because it's like it's just a deformed guy. Like that's,
right.
I mean, that's.
He's like, excuse me,
That wouldn't work
excuse me,
today.
Dracula.
Yeah,
Can
it's
you
like me on a
imagine
bad
if
day.
Yeah, you're putting it on the state level. We've got the Mummy.
Yeah.
We've got a Wolfman, and we've got a guy who has scoliosis. You know,
He's like,
I mean, it's
excuse
like
me.
that's not nice.
I work a full-time job.
Yeah, he's doing his best, man. Leave him alone.
So
Besides Frankenstein, like, excuse me, this guy's dead.
right.
Right. I kind of.
Oh man,
I don't think you could do Hunchback of Notre Dame as a monster today.
No,
like I
that
don't.
ship is sailed. It's over. It's over.
So let's end the episode by talking about one of the other monsters that in a lot of movies are depicted as a hero and not a actual violent creature, and that is Frankenstein's monster.
Oh yes.
The Undertaker. I hate to interject wrestling in quick, but The Undertaker is 100% Frankenstein good guy of professional wrestling. There's no debate about it, and I love every minute of it.
Yeah, that's true. That is that Frankenstein's very much. It's very, which I don't think that was a universal one, but there was a classic black and white movie, the Golem.
Yeah.
That was it has a similar vibe.
It's the values, the principles.
That I mean, I love Frankenstein. I love Bride of Frankenstein, like those two classics.
Mm-hmm.
Frankenstein is one of those movies that, unlike Dracula, who's gotten some good modern incarnations, Squatchy, I'm always working. Always working.
What's up, Squatchy?
What's going on, Squatchy?
I feel like Frankenstein has been underserved with modern movies.
Yeah.
Like I can't think of a modern take on Frankenstein I really thought was legit. Maybe I'm not thinking of one. Like, do you remember one? Like there was a movie series. It was
I like the first two Dean Koontz Frankenstein books. After that, I kind of got a little outlandish, but I enjoyed those two books because it more focused on. It was still a good guy, undead like Frankenstein's monster, but it showed like how dark, like the darkness of Victor Frankenstein. Like there was no regret in him. Like he wanted to create the next big thing. But that was a good recent. It's recent, like within the last. I don't know. I probably read it 15 years ago now, so it was like recent memory, but not yesterday at the same time.
That's something I would like to see, if like in a great hypothetical Frankenstein movie. I would like to see a more detestable Dr. Frankenstein.
Yeah,
you know, like because really he is the villain in this. And I feel like if I could level one complaint against the Kenneth Branagh version with Robert De Niro. Oh yeah. You could probably have a few complaints, but if I could level one, it's the fact that Kenneth Branagh was probably because he was writer, director, star, was afraid to really make Dr. Frankenstein the villain of the piece. You know, which he is, which there's no way around it. You know, I mean, if you read the original, and
that's
even
why
if you
it was great
the old Universal version.
Yeah, that's why it was great when we did Frankenstein Alive. It actually
I was gonna say, like,
comic.
Don't get me wrong, like I love that story, but it was just like a wonderful retelling of that Frankenstein legacy. But the book is phenomenal. Like, you saw like Victor was his obsession. Like it was like I hate to keep dragging different things. It was like What If this week. It was like that obsession with fixing one thing turned
Right.
to chaos.
Yeah.
I don't know if you watched it yet, Ronnie, but that was a really, really
Oh.
good episode.
I watched it with my nephew before I did.
It's really good. And it has kind of a I thought, kind of a classic sort of Disney vibe with like
100%. Yeah.
Like all the Sorcerer's Apprentice and all the evil witches and things. Like it just had that kind of like weird, strange wizard, dark magic stuff.
Yep.
Cool. Yeah.
Yep. For
Yeah,
sure.
Well, and with Dr. Frankenstein, his total abdication of any responsibility. Like he sets this whole thing in motion and basically like, well, that sucked. I guess I'll just go get married, and like move on with my life. Like he just totally washes his hands of the whole thing, and like that's something where like this guy should be a son of a bitch. Like you should really hate this guy and feel a lot of pity for the monster. And you get that a little bit in that original, that Universal one, oh my God. I'm trying to think of the actor's name who played him. Boris Karloff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Karloff one, he does have sort of a patheticness to him. You do sort of feel like there's a helplessness, even though he's very strong and very dangerous and kills a little girl. You still get the impression that he's like the analogy that came out, like he's Gollum-like,
he's
or
a tormented soul.
But he's sort of dumb. He's sort of
he's like a baby.
He's like a baby. Yeah, he has no idea what. Like he's just he's just a big kind of animated.
He's made up of different body parts, so he doesn't know who he is.
He's just like so you can't. You can think he's dangerous, but kind of dangerous like a bear. Like it's not his fault. Like he's not being evil. He's not being, mendacious. He's just
don't dress like Luke Skywalker around Frankenstein. He's gonna end
but like Chase said here, and like I said, with Frankenstein's monster, they always depicted him as a hero. And I remember I, Frankenstein, where literally demons were trying to capture Frankenstein's monster to take over the body while he was teaming up with gargoyles who were supposed to be like the protectors over Earth.
Yeah, what was that? That was that movie.
Yeah, it was called I, Frankenstein with Daniel Radcliffe, the guy who played Punisher.
Yeah,
No, Harry Potter.
No.
Well, I thought those were two different ones.
No, Daniel. No. Wait.
Daniel
those are two different. Yeah, those are
two. Professor X.
He played Igor. Yeah, Daniel Radcliffe played Igor.
But then the Punisher guy, he played. Yeah, that was I, Frankenstein.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wait, which Punisher was it? Which Punisher?
The second Punisher, not the Dolph Lundgren Punisher, but the second.
Thomas Jane.
Yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
He played Frankenstein. Yeah, that to me, at least personally, for my taste, like that goes pretty far out there to get into the weird woo stuff of like Frankenstein's this unkillable thing, and he's wandering. Like, I think it breaks my heart that Guillermo del Toro has never gotten to make his Frankenstein. Like he was trying to get a Frankenstein made forever. He wanted to be R-rated. Studios were like, we don't really want to do an R-rated Frankenstein. And I think that's how it kind of fell apart.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like when it comes to Frankenstein especially, I don't know how you do it justice without it being R-rated. Like at least if it was me, like you got to lean into the fact that this thing was built out of corpses. You got to get into the weird anatomy of it and the weird materialism of Dr. Frankenstein, who can reduce people to just parts. That's all it's about. It's just parts. Just put the parts together and you'll have a person, and not think about the ethical, it's like pure materialism. Like I think
that's why Dr. Frankenstein is like the villain, because he's literally taking other people's loved ones' body parts to make his own creation.
Right.
While you got Igor just hopping along with him.
His own wife.
Exactly.
Yeah, like I mean, he's a sociopath. Like he's and that
There's no other way around it.
Decent, literally horrific Frankenstein would make Dr. Frankenstein a horrific sociopath. like who's
Mhm.
obsessed with his work, which the Hammer movies kind of did. I'm blanking on it. Governor Tarkin. I can't believe I'm blanking on his name as a Star Wars fan.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
I want to say Christopher Lee, but it's not Christopher Lee.
It's not Christopher Lee.
But it's.
I'm gonna look it up. I'm gonna cheat.
Yeah, please look it up. His version of Dr. Frankenstein in the Hammer movies was a son of a bitch.
Mhm.
And that sort of worked. I think like in my idea of a perfect Frankenstein, you would have that kind of awful, detestable Dr. Frankenstein. Peter Cushing. There we go. Thank you, Chase. Chase is
Yes.
MVP
Wow.
in
Chase
the
is on the
chat
ball.
tonight. He's,
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
You would have that kind of Dr. Frankenstein, just an
Mhm.
asshole. And then the monster would be horrific and disgusting and like disturbing to look at and very dangerous, just like kind of like a big grizzly bear in your room, but also pathetic and pitiful and hard to blame for its actions. You know,
You
like, I
remember,
think that would be the perfect.
Even though
man.
we loved Young Frankenstein, that was a funny movie.
Young Frankenstein's great. Yeah.
You
so
remember Silent Rage with Chuck Norris? Like that guy always reminded me of like the evil Frankenstein's monster. Like
Mhm.
he was fairly unkillable. Like it was just one of those like barbershop movies that was always on like a Saturday afternoon. But it's like he was pretty intense. Like I watched him and I watched Maniac Cop around like the same. It was like the same like set of movies on a Saturday at the barbershop.
Yeah. But going back to Monster Squad with that Frankenstein, you know, it was similar to the Universal one, but even with that one, they made him be like the good guy in the end.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Of all the, I'm looking at our little list of all the
Even Van Helsing with you know, the one that they did, he was a good guy as well.
Hugh Jackman. Yeah.
Yeah, with Hugh Jackman.
Of all the monsters we listed, I think the one that most often they decide to make sort of good-hearted, sort of, you know, like sometimes an ally, not always just horrible and dangerous, would probably be Frankenstein's monster. I mean, I'm looking at this list here, like, because all the rest are, I mean, the only thing, the Wolfman would be the only one when he's human.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when he's human, he's always kind of racked with guilt. But that becomes like a plot problem. I think in a weird way, Hulk did it better because it made like the transformation about his emotions getting up, which is hard to avoid if you're alive and you're out in the world. But like, if you're a Wolfman and you're transforming when there's a full moon, that is very predictable. And it's very hard to justify how this is getting away from you. Like I that was always my thing about Thriller. It was like, so when he drove this girl,
yeah, for sure,
like he knew it was a full moon night, right? Like he was intending to eat her. Like that was the plan. So like this whole thing of like, oh no, I got to tell you something. Like go, you know, you better run. Like I think he just wanted to chase her because he absolutely knew he was changing that night. Why do you make a date on that night? So I that's a kind of the weak link in like the tragedy of the Wolfman is like if you know you're changing.
Right. Yeah. What are you doing out?
Yeah. What are you doing? Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm gonna go outside in this clear field where the full moon is.
Yeah. I'm gonna just go in my room.
Sure.
You guys watched Penny Dreadful.
Oh yeah.
I think that version, his version, he would go to friends and he's like, "You got to chain me up tonight." Like, you know, that kind of stuff. Like he was like trying to like manage this, but in the movies there's never that, or they always get out somehow. Like it's kind of feeble ways to keep them bound up. But
yeah, for sure. All right. Well, you have anything else to say about Frankenstein, or you know, because we're past an hour, but I think we did pretty good talking about like the top three, like.
I think everything deserved the time that we gave it.
Those are the big three. Like those
you can't cover Dracula. You can't cover Dracula in 10 minutes. Like it's a pillar. You know what I mean? I think we did good.
If we do a part 2 with the rest, I think we'll be able to burn through multiples, like more, because like like I was telling you before we started, I don't have a lot to say about the Mummy. You know, I mean, what?
Sure.
Not like
What do you say?
Yeah, what do you say? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's
Well, yeah, the original Universal Mommy was great, but you know,
great.
when
But it's,
they came out with like the Mommy from like the early 2000s, or was it
the Brendan
before
Fraser,
the Brendan
series,
Fraser's ones? That made it like very action packed and very cool and interesting. And Hemotep, like great character, and
Yeah.
then they got off track with other stuff. But the first
With
two
The
were
Rock.
yeah, the first two were good, especially the first one I love. But yeah, but we'll talk more about those next time.
Yes.
Yeah.
So everyone, Chase, thank you for coming to chat
Chase,
Yeah.
Chase
and
the
seeing a
MVP.
lot of great stuff.
Face, Squatchy,
Imposter Frank.
Kamikaze.
Yeah.
Yeah, Imposter Frank. He's a Frank. Tell us where Frank is. We just want to know the truth. Keith was here. Thanks, guys.
I really want
awesome.
Imposter Frank to have legs. I really want Imposter Frank. Like, let's make that a hashtag Imposter Frank. Come on.
All right. Yes, exactly. Hashtag Imposter Frank. I like it.
As always, with my stuff, Topis, A Vengeful Heart, Gary's Dinosaurs versus Marsbots, Frogbreaker Studios, my buddy, my co-host, Jason Alexander, Mini Comics Bundles. Go check them all out.
Minicomicbundles.com, y'all. Check it out.
Mm-hmm. All right. We'll see you all next week with part 2. Peace.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks for having me on.